Hello Sekiro fans, this is Dave at Polygon Guides, and I'm going to show you how to beat Genichiro, who is, without a doubt, the hardest fight you faced so far. Okay, let's talk about what you should bring to the fight. There are always items and attacks that work well against Sekiro bosses, so these are our recommendations. First up, the loaded axe prosthetic. You probably won't be able to use this much because he's freaking relentless, but it's a great way to deal posture damage and even occasionally interrupt his attacks. Next up, the eel liver quick item. You can find these super rare items as you explore the castle on your way to the fight. They reduce the amount of damage from lightning attacks, which is a bonus in the last stage of this fight, but again, they're super rare, which kind of makes them unreliable. The ICHIMONJI skill is the first skill you unlock with the Ashina arts tree. The drawback is that it takes a long time to execute because you raise your sword above your head and pause and then whack it down. The benefit, though, is that it shreds enemy posture. On bosses like Genichiro, it's a reliable way to add chunks to their absurdly large posture meters. The trick to defeating Sekiro bosses is identifying and responding to their attacks. Then the fight becomes an if-then statement. If they do this, then I do that. So in this section, we're going to talk about phases 1 and 2, Genichiro Ashina's attacks, the if part, and how to respond, the then part. We start at the beginning because the beginning of this boss fight is always the same. As soon as you gain control, block. He'll shoot an arrow, roll, and then attack with his sword. Just block it. Know what's coming, react, and take no vitality damage. Now technically, you have the opportunity to attack here, but it's easy to get carried away, and he can counterattack. It's safer to play the first moments of this fight defensively and save your health. Let's talk about basic attacks now. He has several not terribly difficult to read or block attacks. They're smaller and they're less damaging than his others, so focus on blocking those too, although if you get carried away with attacks of your own, you can disrupt them. It's good to know, but not really good to try. No matter what his single attacks are, watch for him to pause at the end. That's your opportunity to close the distance between you and attack. For his jump attack, he'll shockingly jump into the air, hover for a fraction of a second, and then land with an overhead sword attack. When he jumps, step dodge away, then press the attack button for a counterattack. We're chipping away at his health here, and that's just one great opportunity to do that. Let's talk about his perilous attacks. Those are the ones with the red kanji that appears above Wolf when you fight. He has a couple of them. The first is a sword thrust. When you see this coming, he's going to pull his sword back and pause for a moment. You can step dodge to the side, not away from him, or he'll hit you. So step dodge to the side to avoid the attack. If you're confident in your ability to pull off the Mikiri counter, that's blocking, moving toward him, and then pressing the dodge button as he thrusts, you can catch his thrust and deal a good chunk of posture damage. His second perilous attack is an elbow to the face or a swipe with his sword. They may technically be two different moves, but they're so similar that we're treating them as the same. It looks a lot like his thrust. Just get away. Genichiro unleashes a flurry of powerful and fast attacks. Block them all. Never try to interrupt the flurry. Your only goal is to survive it. Now you can feel free to repeatedly press the block button because you're likely to get in a couple of perfect deflects in there and deal some posture damage. And you're going to fight him a bunch, I'll bet, so that's going to get easier the more you do it. If you're not confident in your ability to deflect, just concentrate on blocking. The important thing here is that he's vulnerable after the attack. It takes a lot out of him, and that is an opportunity to counterattack. He ends his flurry with a powerful upward attack. Look for that, and it's your signal that it's now safe to respond. Sometimes what looks like a flurry, we should point out, actually ends after a couple of attacks. That seems good, but he sure likes to follow those up with other attacks, like a jump. So don't immediately attack when he's done. Wait to see if he's transitioning into another move. Let's talk about his super duper annoying bow and arrow attacks. They deal absurd amounts of damage, and you could deflect them, or if you have excellent timing, you could step dodge it too. But if you miss the timing, you'll kiss half of your health or even more goodbye. So let's talk about dealing with the varieties. His first bow and arrow attack is a single shot. He likes to use this especially when you're taking a drink from your healing gourd at a distance. But we've got great news for you. You almost always have time enough to drink once and block before the arrow strikes you. So whenever you heal and you see him draw his bow, hold the block button while the drinking animation is active. You'll get your sword up in time to block the arrow. His second bow and arrow attack is a replay of his first attack. He fires an arrow, maybe two, rolls, and rises with a sword attack. It's possible to interrupt the attack, but it's definitely safer to block and attack when it's over. His final bow attack is the most dangerous. He unleashes a volley of arrows, sometimes from the ground, sometimes from the air. Block, 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 and then get the hell away to recharge your posture. And now we're in phase 3, which is Genichiro Way of Tomi. Or Tomo? I don't know. The last phase of the fight is the worst, or at least it feels like that, but it turns out it's not that bad as long as you know what to do. Don't panic. Let's break it down. Genichiro wastes no time in beginning the fight, and he can cause severe damage super quickly, like controller throwing amounts of damage. But the good news is he always does the same thing, which means you can always do the same thing to avoid his attack. He begins with a perilous attack that involves an improbably long dash and then ends with a twirling sword swing. 3 things to do. Lock on at the very beginning, and you have time to heal immediately if you need to. At about the moment that the red kanji fades from your screen, he'll start his sword attack. Jump to the right, and you will soar right over the attack. 0 damage in the first several seconds. Now let's talk about his lightning attacks. When he jumps up into the air, he'll call down lightning from the sky and into his bow. You have a few options. The first is to perform a lightning reversal. That's where you jump, hit the attack button after you get struck but before you hit the ground, and then you will pull off the reversal. This is hard and unnecessary. If you can nail it, God bless you. Seriously, you have our respect, but you don't need to do that. You could alternately step dodge to get out of the way or attack him to interrupt his attack. Those are actually what we would recommend. Relentless attacking is kind of the key to this phase of the fight. You do not want to take it slowly because his posture bar fills up a lot faster than he did in the first 2 phases. So if you're just on his tail the entire time, you can interrupt a lot of stuff. The rest of his attacks are either direct copies or minor variations on what you saw before he took his shirt off. So if you see him jump, do what you did in the first phase, get out of the way to avoid his plunging attack and follow up with an attack of your own. If you see a kanji symbol, watch out for his swinging sword attack that we talked about earlier. If he pulls back his bow, block, or if you're up close and he's trying to be clever, disrupt his attacks. Speaking of attacking, we're going to say this one more time. We suggest ruthless aggression for defeating Genichiro. His posture bar fills up much faster in this phase of the fight, and if you keep wailing on him, it'll keep filling up. Your Axe Shinobi prosthetic is pretty good at keeping him on the defensive, and when he's on the defensive, he's taking posture damage. All right, that is it. Good luck, and thanks for watching.